in my hottest Drag Race opinion is that RuPaul should find a better makeup artist and fire Raven because she's bad at her job.
Hello, everyone. It's Conspira Lucy, aka Luke here, and welcome back to another episode of Phone a Queen. And here on Phone a Queen, instead of me giving you my hot takes, you give me yours. And without further ado, let's just get on to the first take.
Hi, my name is Bigzada. I'm from Kyrgyzstan. It's a country in Central Asia, and in my hottest Drag Race opinion is that RuPaul should find a better makeup artist and fire Raven because she's bad at her job. Because she paints RuPaul so ugly, so disgustingly. I genuinely miss when Matthew Anderson were painting her face because he were making RuPaul look so beautiful, so gorgeous, like a goddess, like a mother, like a god. And Rainbow cannot do that. She's bad at her job. She should be fired. So this is my hot take. And I'm really sorry if my English is not good. I tried to practice more. Okay, bye.
Girl, your English is great. And you know what? I'm happy that you gave us an actual hot take. Raven paints RuPaul ugly. You know, I can't say that I agree with that. I think RuPaul looks great. I think Raven is a fantastic makeup artist. Um, I do agree. I think sometimes I miss, how soft Matthew could paint Rue back in the early days. I mean, nothing can really compare to that Matthew Anderson beat. And that Matthew Anderson beat was kind of what helped RuPaul come up as the supermodel of the world. Like, that beat was quintessential RuPaul, but it was quintessential Matthew Anderson. And, it's sad how everything has happened. And I don't know all the details, but I think Raven's a great makeup artist. I think she's only got stronger with time. And to be honest, I really do see Raven's mug as equal to Matthew's. I just think they're different. And I like both in different scenarios because I think Raven can paint RuPaul just so severe in a way that Matthew couldn't. Matthew was always very soft versus I think Raven has more versatility as a makeup artist depending on what the look calls for. This fucking hair. Got it. All right, but thank you so much for sending in your hot take, and I appreciate starting off on a very hot note. But going into our second caller.
Hello, my name is Storm. I'm from the UK, and I don't know if my Drag Race take is necessarily a hot take, but one thing I hate is when a drag queen or a drag performer, drag artist comes into the workroom in any season, not even just US seasons, in like any sort of season, and oh, I run this area, I run this town, I run this city, I run this state, I run this part of the UK, you know the EU or whatever, but they come in and they act like they're the queen of the world, and then when they don't get their way, they like cry and like complain and sort of seem really like bitchy and whiny, and it's like it gets on my nerves because they seem to think that because they're well renowned in the area they're from, that they're automatically like royalty and they deserve to be treated as such on Drag Race, and it really annoys me.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. The most recent example that I remember is Bones on UK season 7 being like I'm the queen of Soho and like people were like, "Girl, like you're kind of not though." I mean, she is now. She's the queen of season 7, right? She won the whole dang show. But I remember when she first got on, people were like, "Girl, you're gonna call yourself the queen of Soho?" And lots of people do that. Like even in New York, people are like, "I'm the queen of the Bronx," or "I'm the queen," like different places in New York. And then like I don't know, like Bob and Monet will be on their show, and they'll be like, "I haven't heard of them," which obviously they don't live in New York anymore. But like there's been lots of queens that come on and claim to be like, "Oh, I'm the like renowned doll from this town." It's like sometimes it isn't true. I don't know. I mean, I agree. I mean, like, I think we need to walk in, a little bit more humble and also like not I mean, if you're the queen of the town, you're the queen of the town. But I think to me, it's almost more of a sign of like, I don't have a defined brand. I perform a lot in this town and I'm the queen. But it's like, shouldn't you have more of a defined brand that's more you rather than just where you're from? And I feel like they have a hard time thinking of anything else that they're known for. So they're like, I'm known for being from this town, you know? Um, but I appreciate that take. And I can't say that it's bothered me too much, but I do agree that it is kind of delusional for some queens to come in and claim the town that they're from. Moving on to our third take.
Good morning, Conspira Lucy. Thank you so much for all the content you make. My name's Harry, and I come from the middle of nowhere and farmland on the East Coast, in Maryland. But yeah, my hot take is I think the competitive stakes need to be up, need to be more dire on Drag Race. I think in more recent seasons, we're losing a lot of the really memorable challenge moments like Sasha Colby's neck crack or Jinx doing Judy Garland. And in more recent seasons, I feel like it's harder. I feel like one or two queens come through each season, but I feel like they need to have more dire consequences. Like if no one's doing well in the challenge, like don't give any queen the win. Don't give them the prize money that week. I think it's neat when it rolled over to the next week. So that one a couple of the All-Star seasons, and it would up the stakes and push them to do better, to perform better, and give more memorable performances. And on the same side of that, like if the results warrant it, send two queens home, send three queens home. It would be shocking and gaggy and might give some eliminated contestants notoriety. Like, oh yeah, I was one of those queens that got sent home when three queens got eliminated. But I think it would put a fire under some of the queens' asses to do better. And if the results warrant it, why not? So yeah, thank you so much. I hope you're having a great day.
Aw, thank you, Harry. And to be honest, at first when you were like Sasha Colby and you were like on the more recent seasons, because I'm like, to me, that's a more recent season. But I do understand what you're saying of like, okay, we need to up the stakes more. I agree. Like sometimes it's like we reward somebody and it's like on one hand, I get it. It's like, oh, well, this is like a weak challenge performance across the board. And they did that once on UK season 3 of not rewarding a challenge win. And I kind of agree. I think if everybody flops, they also did on season 14 for the Snatch game, just everybody in the bottom the next week, even though that was kind of already pre planned. And I think a lot of times they don't do this because they have pre planned challenges already prepared with a certain amount of parts written or a certain amount of people booked if they're doing like a makeover, stuff like that, to where they're like, we just can't change the elimination order that we've planned, which I kind of hate. I wish they could be more variable with the order of challenges and be more on the fly and not pre-plan so much. So that way we could have more organic results like what you're saying. Um, because yeah, I also think with All Stars this is a problem because it's like with the brackets. I mean, I've talked about this ad nauseum on the channel now, but it's like, the non-eliminations and the points. It's like people need the fear of getting eliminated instilled into them. And I think what you're saying also, like upping the like prize money, like, and if somebody doesn't do well in the challenge to the next week, I think that helps to add stakes. Just more stuff like that, whether it's higher prize money, sending more people home. I agree with your hot take. So I don't think there's really much more to say other than, comparing it to older seasons. I think I don't know if it's necessarily an older versus newer season thing. I think we definitely felt it more on older seasons, but it's not like they were doing like a bunch more. It's not like the format has changed that much from older seasons to now. So I think the issue is I would say more production and storytelling. We have so many more queens and we have so many more elimination episodes, and I think the show has become so much more structured that they never want to like break away from that structure. They have like a pre-planned double stay this episode, and they have like, you know, does that make you getting it? But thank you again, Harry. Moving on to, I believe, number 4.
Hi, my name's Dax. I'm from New Jersey, and my Drag Race hot take is that Sasha Colby's ball was not good in season 15. Like that first look, it was decent, but I didn't like it. The second look, cool concept but bad execution. It's very creative, but I didn't like it. And then the third look, girl, what happened? Just a mess. Anyway, bye.
You are preaching to the choir. Oh my gosh, this is a hot take, but I completely agree with you. And I'm so satisfied to hear that because I have been saying this. I love Sasha Colby and I do think she slayed season 15, but that ball, like you said, the first look where it was just like the racer jumpsuit, that was cute. She looked good. The second look, the weed runway, like it was a cool concept, but like it was a little lopsided and like to me a little crunchy. Like the silhouette wasn't completely there. And then that last look, like it to me was very hodgepodge. Like it was just hot glued. It was like appliques and like I didn't feel like the skirt she made versus like the bodice. I didn't feel like those like materials or textures went together at all. And I know people are going to be like, because people ride hard for Sasha Colby's wins, but to be honest, I do think she was favored a bit that season. And I think, the amount of wins she had, I think it probably would have stayed the same. It might have been 3 instead of 4. I think she definitely deserved to have Aura's girl group win. Um, so I think, again, the win distribution could have been the same, just different challenges. But I actually think a lot of people say they think Anitra should have won this ball. I think it should have been Mistress. Like her beach ball look was so good. Um, the gown she made just fit to perfection, that white gown. And people loved Anitra's gown. It was like that nude gown. It was okay. But then like her candy look wasn't good. I just thought Mistress across the board, like her racer jumpsuit just fits so well everything was just perfect about that ball. And I think Mistress only leaving that season with 1 win was kind of boo boo banana bonkers. Um, so I absolutely agree with you. I think there is and was a little bit of Sasha Colby glazing on that season. I think her performance was good, but people act like it was just a flawless run, and I don't really see it that way. I think it was an amazing run, but it wasn't this like flawless, like exemplary, like setting the bar run that people say it was. I think she brought so much new stuff that set a standard on Drag Race, but the whole run, I think there's a little bit of glazing going on. But I love Sasha though. All right, moving on to our next caller.
I think that Eureka O'Hara should have won season 10. And the only reason that she didn't is because she is a big girl. And I don't really see how they can justify not giving her the win. When she ate those girls up in the final lip sync. And if we are going to say that the final lip sync is the end all be all, which is what we said.
Oops. Oop.
So if the final lip sync is the end all be all, then what happened in season 10? Because Eureka had a great season and she killed the final lip sync. I will die on the hill that the only reason she did not win is because she is big.
I don't think I can be defending Eureka O'Hara this time. I don't think it's going to happen this time. I do agree she did win that lip sync. So, you know what? You are making me defend Eureka O'Hara again because she did win that lip sync. But I think who they choose as a winner, once it comes down to that final lip sync, they're going to choose who they want regardless of lip sync. And I'm somebody who agrees. I think the lip sync should play a factor into it. And I think it should play the majority factor a lot of the time. But I also think like Eureka was just so controversial that season. Her drama with the Vixen, she had the whole controversy of like saying the N-word, but it was just in a song that she was singing. So there was like a different context, I suppose. I think she was just too much of a hot button versus Aquaria was super popular. I think, to be honest, the person they wanted to crown was Asia O'Hara. But after that butterfly incident, they couldn't do anything else to save her. They just had to pivot. And I don't think they couldn't really crown Cameron. I mean, that would be pretty unprecedented given how many times she was in the bottom. So I think their only option really was Aquaria. I don't think it had anything to do with her being a big girl. I think it more so had to do with the fact that Eureka was kind of controversial. And I think it would have been a risk having Eureka represent the brand. And I think as time has gone on, we've seen that it was absolutely the right decision to crown Aquaria. You know, I have so many varying opinions on Eureka O'Hara, but she's been in many controversies over the years. And I think as a winner representing the brand, that would not have been a good look. And so I think it was the right decision. While I do agree that she won the lip sync, I don't think she should have won. I think this was a time where we maybe should have ignored the lip sync results. Versus somewhere on like All Star 7, I think Monet should have won because I think she slayed the season. That's another season where it's like, I feel like, I mean, Jinx, that was kind of an all time performance in terms of all of the comedy and improv challenges. But I think Monet just slayed across the board and was kind of a jack of all trades that season. And then when you're saying it's a lip sync tournament for the crown, I mean, I know I'm contradicting myself because I don't think Eureka should have won, but I think Monet should have won All Star 7 on the merit that she absolutely destroyed Jinx in that final lip sync versus Aquaria did a decent enough job to warrant a win being given versus like Monet dog walked Jinx in that last lip sync. And I think Monet actually, in my opinion, had a better storyline that season. You know, she had strategy, she had alliances, and she kind of made that season more entertaining because it's kind of hard to make a non-elimination season engaging. So I disagree with you, and you know, Eureka is always bringing the hot takes, and you almost had me defending Eureka O'Hara, but not quite. Moving on to our next take.
Hi Diva, hope you're doing well. Love your content so much. My name's Tim. I'm from Cairo. I know far. But anyways, for my hot take, and I know people may disagree, I think the fandom sometimes jumps too quickly to labeling every bit of hate as racism. But racism absolutely exists, no doubt, but not every criticism automatically comes from that place. So, for example, with the Lexi Love versus Anya Nerve dress sabotage drama on 17, do I think Anya deserved some of the hate that she got that was rooted in racism? Absolutely not. But was she still wrong? Yes. From what was shown or televised, Lexi asked multiple times who did it, and nobody spoke up. And then later, Anya admitted it when she went back and then came back into the workroom, which understandably made Lexi even more upset because Anya could have owned up to it immediately. And when Lexi reacted, Anya had the nerve, pun intended, to be frustrated at her response instead of fully understanding why Lexi was mad in the first place. So overall, I just think the fandom should focus more on calling out behavior that is genuinely rooted in racism instead of throwing that label around willy nilly.
I I mean, I can agree. I mean, it's a nuanced discussion for sure. And I think obviously the Drag Race fandom is just notoriously very racist. Um, but I can also agree that when you go around calling everything racist, you're actually like delegitimizing valid racism criticism, you know, when you're just calling everything racist. But not that I think that's necessarily what's happening all the time. I think with any discussion, there's going to be people who will cry racism when you're just actually criticizing a person of color who's been on the show. But I think a majority of the time, a lot of the overreactive criticism that was sent towards Anya Nerve, I think when you look at the density of the criticism, you know, just the amount she received versus, you know, a white counterpart, I think there's that discrepancy of like the person of color always receives a bigger amount of hate. I don't know if I bungled that, you know, but relitigating that whole argument, I understand why Lexi was upset, and I think Anya should have just owned up to it and just told her in the moment and had just been honest. But then, you know, we wouldn't have gotten the juicy drama, right? But yeah, I think it's nuanced. I think there's some truth in what you're saying, but I also think, you know, we just have to always be careful with this discourse, and we have to really, you know, not discredit anybody's experience with what they're telling us. But yeah, I don't know. That is a hot button issue. I'll give you that. And moving on to our last hot take.
Hi, my name's Karam from Germany, and my hot takes is that I don't think Mikey Meeks should have won Drag Race Season 18. Not because she's bad, but I think that out of the three, Darlene Mitchell was the most unique one out of the three, because even Nini Coco, yeah, she was good, even she was one of my favorite, but still this like fashion queen more, a bit boring, she was not the best. But Darlene, out of the three, she has the most charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, and I think she should have won Drag Race.
That is a hot take. And, you know, go watch my video on who I predicted would win RuPaul's Drag Race Season 18. I won't spoil who I said, but I do say that I think Darlene was the most unique queen to be picked as a winner. I think her brand as a comedy queen is something that we haven't seen rewarded in a really long time. I think we reward more jack of all trade queens nowadays, more than just like somebody who really specifies in one area. And so in that, I do think she was the most unique, you know? But at the same time, I think Mikey was probably the most well-rounded and the best competitor in that finale. I think it goes hand in hand with her and Jane. I think they were both actually really strong competitors who were strong in so many things. I think the thing that puts Jane, for me, just a little bit above Mikey is the fact that Jane can also design. And I think Mikey was just an okay designer. So I'd say overall, the strongest competitor on that season was Jane Don't. But I think Mikey was a really close second. And so I think Mikey deserved to win. But I think if you're looking at the lineup of winners, she doesn't have a super defined brand. That would be my one critique of her. Like, as strong as she is and as likable as she is, the brand is not well defined, versus Darlene has a very well defined brand. You know, visually, she has a defined brand. Her skill set is very well defined. And I think Mikey probably needs to still work on defining her brand a little bit more. And so I can see an argument for Darlene winning, because thinking about Darlene coming back for an All Stars, like, I'm trying to think of the growth she could have, like, because we still want to see her kooky fashion, but it's like she talks about how she has like a degree, and I think it was it fashion or something? And so maybe seeing her bring a bit more like glamour and camp to the runway instead of just like always these kooky looks. So I think maybe she could have growth, and I think Mikey could have had growth, because I'm always thinking about who would come back in All Stars. Maybe this makes no sense, but I agree with you on that front. But I think overall, Mikey was the correct choice on who should have won the season. And yeah, thank you so much for sending in your hot take. If you guys want to send in your hot take, go to speakpipe.com/conspiralucy and you can submit your take there. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Did you guys agree with any of my takes? Did you disagree on any of my hot takes? Or, well, not my hot takes, my takes on their hot takes. This show is now available to listen to as a podcast. You can listen to Conspiracies, you know, on Spotify, Apple Music. I'm working on getting it on all the other podcasting platforms. Yeah, like the video if you enjoyed it. Please hype it if you're on mobile. Did I already ask you to leave a comment? If I didn't, leave a comment, y'all. And a lot of you guys are watching the videos, but you are not subscribing. And why the hell would you not be subscribed? So please subscribe. I hope you don't see the lace that's not glued down. Yeah, so that's going to do it for me. Bye, you guys.